Thanks to HubSpot for sponsoring today's video. This is by far the most helpful and honest advice that I could share with someone who wants to become a full-time creator. No one cares. No one cares. This is honestly both liberating and a massive challenge. It's liberating because it means you can stop worrying right now about whether your friends and family or those random people that you knew in high school are judging you right now for making content for the internet. I can tell you right now, they're probably not watching your YouTube videos and they're most certainly not rewatching your Instagram story 10 times a day like you do. Because the truth is, those random people in your life, they just really don't care that much. Your content is probably not directed at them. They might not be that interested in it, and they're so absorbed in their own lives, they're not taking time to judge you. And while that can feel freeing, it also means you're up against a massive challenge. And that is because when you're first starting out as a content creator, strangers on the internet don't care about you yet either. But the key word here is yet. The whole goal of being a full-time content creator is to cultivate an audience of strangers on the internet and make them care about you and your content. And the rest of the advice I'm gonna share with you in this video is designed to help you do exactly that, especially tip number 3. So make sure you stick around for it. Tip number 1, love what you do. Now look, I know this one sounds kind of fluffy, but I promise you, you're gonna wanna hear it. As an aspiring full-time content creator, you just need to love the content that you make. Like, that's actually so essential. Because here's the thing, success as a content creator is essentially the ability to keep creating more of what you've already been creating, but get paid to do it. So the last thing you wanna do is choose a niche or subject matter or platform or type of content that you don't really enjoy making. Because if you do that, if you pick those things based on what you just think is the most strategic or what's gonna help you grow the fastest, you're basically signing yourself up for a job that you're not gonna like that much. Choose a subject matter or a niche that you are gonna be satisfied talking about for like years to come. If you're brand new, if you haven't settled into a niche or a subject area or a target audience just yet, really think about how you like to spend your free time already and incorporate that into what your content could look like. If you live for going hiking or camping on the weekends right now, then think about becoming like an outdoorsy content creator. If you're obsessed with coffee and want to improve your latte making skills, then maybe you would go into the coffee niche. Or if you love learning languages, then maybe you could make a YouTube channel about your journey of becoming a polyglot, and now you have an excuse to spend all your time learning new languages. YouTube, or really being a content creator on any platform, is kind of a hack for being able to take your hobbies and what you love and turn them into your job. Personally, I've always loved creating videos, strategizing around social media, following the creator space, and so now that's kind of what I spend all my time doing. Now, to be fair, a big part of the job of any creator is always going to be like negotiating brand deals, doing admin and bookkeeping, and then, you know, the actual video production, editing, writing, all of that stuff. So like, no matter what, it is work, but it might as well be work centered on a subject matter or a niche that you feel passionate about. It's also important to note that some niches have a bigger impact on your work-life balance than others. For example, being a travel creator or even like a lifestyle vlogger, that's really going to impact what your life looks like, because it's going to dictate where you need to be or what your day-to-day looks like so that you can capture that for your channel. While on the other hand, talking about something more abstract like social media strategy doesn't have as big a sway on what your day-to-day life looks like. So if work-life balance, like if being able to shut off your job at the end of the day and have your evenings and weekends is really important to you, consider that when you choose the type of content that you make. I feel like people don't talk about that enough. Like, a lot of people assume being a full-time content creator has to absorb your entire life, but it is possible to have work-life balance. It is possible to have boundaries. It's just gonna be more difficult in some niches than others. Like, if you are a vlogger, then your lifestyle basically is the content. So it's gonna be a bit more challenging to have a life outside of your work. But if you do other types of videos that are maybe more contained or more specific, then you can turn it off and go live your life separately from your content. These are important things to think about when you are working towards going full-time. My next piece of advice: don't quit your day job. At least not yet. Now, I'm personally quite risk averse and I lean much more on the responsible side when it comes to money stuff. Sometimes I think I could probably be a little bit more reckless, but I think this is good advice. It might be a long road until you're financially stable as a full-time content creator. So I want you to prepare for that. We're talking about money, so we need a whiteboard. Those are the rules. I don't make them, I just follow them. So first things first, you need to calculate your living costs. A lot of people, when they envision being a full-time content creator, dream about making a certain amount of money. Maybe it's 6 figures, maybe it's $1 million. But I think that's kind of the opposite way that you want to go about this. If your goal is realistically just to make a full-time living being a content creator because it's fun, it's a good job to have, then you're gonna want to start by figuring out what it actually costs you to live. I actually did this for myself recently and found out that for me and my husband Dan, we would ideally have about $70,000 a year of income collectively to cover all of our spending. And that's kind of our level of like living our best life, getting to do everything that we want to do. I found that out by making a spreadsheet, taking all of our expenses across our, credit cards or just out of our bank account from January to June of this year and figuring out what our total spending was, and then just extrapolating on that data, multiplying it by 2 to kind of guess what that would look like across a whole year. So figure out what it actually costs you to live your current lifestyle. Then you know how much you actually need to make as a creator in order to make that your full-time thing. Obviously, it would be great to earn more above and beyond that. And I really believe as a content creator, you can. And then you can decide what that excess money goes into, whether it's savings, paying off your mortgage, going on more trips. It's gonna look different for everybody. But at least with this, you have a realistic idea of what you need to make in order to make this your full-time job based on your current lifestyle. Step number 2, save a 6-month emergency fund. I know this can be a big undertaking, but if you're seriously considering walking away from a consistent bi-weekly paycheck in exchange for a life as a full-time content creator, then you definitely want to build a little bit of a cushion for yourself to fall back on. I know for a lot of people, it would take a really, really long time to save this up just from like your current full-time job income. And that's why I really recommend, as a creator, you're essentially starting a side hustle for yourself, right? Like you have this alternative income stream that maybe you get your first few brand deals. I highly recommend that when you're balancing content creation with your full-time job, take the money that you're getting from those few creator gigs here and there, those first few brand deals, and put them into your 6 months savings. The trouble that a lot of people get into when they're balancing a full-time job with content creation is they get used to that extra income. Say you have a job that makes you $60K a year, and then you're able to generate, let's say, $40K a year off of being a content creator. It's really easy to get used to just having a $100K a year income that you can spend. We call that lifestyle inflation, and you really wanna avoid it because ultimately it's gonna hinder your freedom and flexibility to do this as a full-time job because you're gonna get dependent on having that level of income. So instead, I really recommend you take that $40K, let's say, and just pour it into that savings account, and you'll be able to do content creation full-time and have that time flexibility faster. Obviously, everyone's financial situation is gonna be different. So if you need that money that's coming in from brand deals to use right now, I'm not judging you. I'm just saying this will be the quickest way to save that emergency fund is if you can put your content creation money towards it. Okay, tip number 3, I would really suggest making sure that you have a few brand deals, a few paying gigs lined up before you go ahead and finally quit that job. You've done your due diligence, you have your 6 month savings, but what would be nice to avoid is leaving your 9 to 5 and then immediately needing to dig into those savings. So I would wait until you have a few brand deals lined up over the next month or 2 and feel good about the amount that's coming in from them, or whatever other income streams you have set up before you go ahead and leave your job. But that's just me. Again, like I said, I'm very risk averse. I really lean on the side of being careful about this stuff. And it has worked out for people with less planning than this. This is just what I would personally recommend, so that I could sleep at night, knowing that you're doing this. Honestly, when it comes to all of this money stuff, my biggest tip, keep your lifestyle, your current spending habits at the same level they are now for as long as possible. That's kind of currently the stage that I'm in, is trying to avoid the lifestyle inflation that often comes with an increase in income. I'm not saying that you should never, enjoy and appreciate that extra money that you have and use it to do the things that you love. I definitely think you should, but I think it's always good to continue to evaluate like what's actually valuable to you and spend your money accordingly, and don't get caught up in just spending more because you have more to spend. Like, save it for your future self. I'm sure she'll appreciate it. If you want to get more organized around your entire financial situation as you work towards becoming a full-time content creator, then I actually would really suggest that you check out these 6 free business budget templates from HubSpot. As a creator, it's so crucial to clearly lay out all of your finances so that you can see where you're at with all of these various income streams that you're dealing with, and to keep a good understanding of your expenses as well. If you've been around for a while, then you'll know I love a good spreadsheet. And this bundle includes all the templates that you need for personal and business uses. As creators, we truly are always balancing both. So I love that they've included a template for personal budgeting as well as like business planning stuff on like an annual and quarterly basis and more. These templates will help you get everything set up at a very professional level without having to know all the formulas and stuff like that. So I really recommend them, especially for beginners. Like I said, these are totally free, and you can download these 6 budget templates from HubSpot at the link in my description. And thanks again to HubSpot for sponsoring today's video. My third tip for you is to know your niche. And when I say know, I don't mean like identify or pick your niche. I mean like know your niche like you know your best friend. Have a deep, clear understanding of the community that you are creating in and for. This is the ultimate way to really unlock that ability of finding those strangers on the internet and making them care about you, which is, like I said, the ultimate goal of being a content creator. Knowing your niche really is the magic formula. When you're thinking about creating in a new niche or just improving in the niche that you're already in, you want to become an absolute expert on that community. Let's use the coffee niche as an example here. Now, I'm not saying that you need to become the world's foremost expert in making coffee, not at all. You want to become an expert in the coffee making community online. Because actually you could be quite bad at making coffee and still have a successful coffee related YouTube channel. Let's say your channel is about you attempting really fancy coffee recipes and documenting your process of trial and error and maybe getting better at it along the way. It's really more important that you're an expert in the community than you are an expert in the content. A lot of success as a creator comes down to really knowing your target audience. This is what you might call niche or target market analysis. The first thing you want to do is watch a ton of content from creators in the niche that you're in. And when I say niche, I really mean like the general genre or like community of people that you want to connect with. Take note of the visual language, the kind of shots they use, what kind of editing they do, the sound effects they use, the background music. Think about the tone of the host. Are they funny? Are they casual? Are they more informative? Are they serious? Look at the titles and thumbnails from these creators and see what's worked for them. I recommend checking out this free Chrome extension called 1 of 10. I just installed it recently and it's really helpful because it adds this little label next to each video on a creator's channel, kind of letting you know which videos in particular stood out and got more views than typical. This is really handy for finding the videos that helped their channel grow and then really honing in on those titles and thumbnails to help guide your strategy. Really take some intentional time to think about the vibe and the culture of the community that you're creating content for online. And that'll help you loads when it comes to planning your own content so that it connects with your target audience most effectively. This whole process will allow you to optimize your videos to be similar to what is already working, like what it's proven that your ideal audience is already attracted to. But it will also let you see maybe where there's gaps in the market or find ways that you can do similar content but bring your own unique spin to it and do it in a way that nobody else is doing. It's a fine balance, but this is really the way that top creators are able to connect with communities and then stand out from other creators in the same space. And bonus tip for you, as you're studying these other creators in your niche, take note of what brands tend to sponsor their content, because that'll give you a really good idea of the brands you might want to reach out to and pitch when it comes to getting your own brand deals. All right, friends, in the same way I want you to financially prepare for being a full-time content creator, I also want you to emotionally prepare. Because let me tell you, it can be a roller coaster. Putting yourself out there online is a funny thing because you're simultaneously opening yourself up to criticism and scrutiny from people online that don't really know a lot about you and don't have a lot of sympathy for you, but you're also opening yourself up to this beautiful connection and sense of community that you might not be able to find in person, depending on what you're interested in and where you live. So I really feel like as a creator, you experience like the highest highs and the lowest lows. And if you're not careful, you're gonna be on the fast track to a validation complex that is completely dependent on whether or not you see a little animation of confetti next to your most recent upload. So as you continue on this journey, I think it's just really important to be mindful of that and try to have, as best as you can, a balanced approach to metrics, because the tough thing is you do need to pay attention to your numbers and how your content's been performing, because if you don't, you're not gonna have the most informed strategy, you're not gonna be able to grow as fast. But at the same time, you can't let your life become defined by the metrics, and you really need to keep in mind that you have value and you have worth outside of the performance of your latest YouTube video. I think the biggest thing you can do is try to have some separation between yourself and your kind of creator self. Like if you think of your content as its own business, as its own entity, then that helps a little bit with not getting too wrapped up in like the ranking of your latest YouTube video being like a ranking of you personally. But I'll be honest, even if you do that, like it's hard. It's just is a hard kind of like mental gymnastics that you need to do to be able to like take the feedback from the algorithm, from your audience, and use it to craft your strategy, but at the same time, not let it get to you too much emotionally. You just gotta remember, you're not defined by your follower count, by your reach, by your latest video ranking. And I really would encourage any creator, anybody that wants to do this full time, to continue to have hobbies and like other stuff outside of this work that brings you fulfillment and that brings you meaning to your life. Because if this is like your one and only thing, then you're really on the roller coaster and there's no way to get off. So as much as you can, maintain that balance. Don't get swept up in all the numbers. Just know I'm on the roller coaster ride with you. My final piece of advice for you is to create a content calendar and a work schedule that actually works for you. Not just the copy and paste content calendar that you saw somebody else doing. Figure out your own custom approach that is something you can actually keep up in the long term, because this is a marathon, not a sprint. It is so essential that you design your creative processes so that you don't get burnt out, because burnout is gonna be like enemy number one when it comes to your journey to full-time content creation. Also, make sure you balance both short and long form content, because there are advantages that you can gain from both of them. It can be hard to get good at both of them and balance both of them in your strategy, but I think a lot of successful creators that are growing right now are doing just that. So I would lean into that. I feel like I could probably make a whole video about how to truly balance short form and long form content and be a hybrid creator, because there's a lot of people that are great at one or the other, but it's hard to do both. So let me know in the comment section if you would like a future video that talks about all of that. Most importantly though, live by the principle of quality over quantity. Don't just post for the sake of posting. I know you're better than that. Post something that you're proud of and try to do that on a consistent basis, whatever consistent looks like for you. Maybe that's weekly YouTube videos, maybe that's YouTube videos every other week. Maybe that's 3 Instagram reels per week. Maybe it's just 1 Instagram reel per week. Find what works for you. Again, it's all about the marathon. Speaking of balance, if you want an example of what work-life balance can look like for a full-time content creator, you should check out this Week in the Life video, where I show you all of the content creation that I do on a week-to-week basis and how I schedule that into my life. And hey, look at that. Welcome to the end of the video club. If you made it to this point, drop me a little mushroom emoji in the comment section so I know who you are. And as always, thank you so much for watching. I hope you're having adventures and following your dreams, and I'll catch you in the next video. Bye.